Well, I got any volunteers?
Yeah, he wants to.
2. That's it, just 2? Come on. So, let's see, here's a hammer. I'll hold the drill still for you, you swing the hammer, okay? Now, come on up here. So you hit that drill still. I'll turn it and hit it.
It's his hand, not yours. Hit
You're
that thing.
hired. Shift starts tomorrow at 8:30. Shift starts tomorrow at 8:30.
Ooh, you're going to work, girlie.
I think you can hold your own drill still.
Yeah.
Come on, sis.
So, you're a little taller, so tie that one right there. Get down just a little bit. Yeah, I got one so much taller. So hit it, turn it, hit it, turn it. There you go. Should we make it more challenging on them?
I think you should.
Think we should?
Get over there, honey.
What?
Try that hard.
That's how the miners did it.
That's how the
So that's how it was
miners do
done
it.
during the turn, before the turn of the century.
Get up there and try it, sis.
Oh,
They had to hit it a lot harder though.
alrighty. You wanna give it a shot this way?
Try it, sis.
Let's see, we're starting right about there for you.
You got it.
Good go.
Oh.
Yep, tomorrow at 8:30 for sure. Both of you. You guys will both be here, right? So that's called single jacking, what you guys are doing. A guy would do that back then for a 12-hour shift, was paid $3 a day to do it. You drill roughly about 1.5 feet into the hole, into the rock that way, about 18 holes. So you'd load those holes back then with black powder and you'd shoot it. Now single jacking like that, you might get it drill out roughly about 1.5 feet, but after you pulled it, you're really only gonna get about a 1 foot advance. Break you loose anywhere between the 2 to maybe 5. If you're lucky, 10 tons if everything went right. But that's pretty odd, it's mostly 5 tons. For wider areas of the mine, they would use double jacking, what you see over there. There's a guy holding a 6-foot drill still over his shoulder, the guy directly behind him swinging a 10-pound sledgehammer. By the end of their shift doing it that, they advanced about 4.5 foot in the rocks. When they shoot that, they gain almost 15 tons at the max. So that amount of ore, they'd only get pulled about 4 foot of rock. So pretty hard working conditions. At $3 a day back then, everybody thinks that's pretty poor wages for that time, for that year period and whatnot. But you gotta figure at $3 a day, when the loaf of bread might have been a penny or two. The train ticket from Colorado Springs to up here was less than $1 back then. So $3 a day was pretty good money. So now during the turn of the century, lighting conditions got a little bit better than what you see here. They came out with carbide lamps, you see on the bench there. You put calcium carbide in these bottom chambers, you put water in the top. As the two would mix together, you'd end up with acetylene gas. The bigger ones here would last for roughly about 4 hours. The smaller ones would be on top of the guy's hard hat, would really only last for about 2 hours. So the guy would be carrying carbide with him all day long. Today, we're using an electric lamp that I'm carrying with me. This is called a weak lamp. This lamp will hold a 16-hour charge on a battery pack I'm carrying on my safety belt. This also clips in my hard hat. So anywhere I look, I'm gonna have light. Well, you can see if my lamp goes out, it's gonna be a long shift.
You're right there.
Now we have 4 different ways of mining down here. On the level, 2 of them is cross-cutting and drifting. So what you guys are standing in right there is called a cross-cut. That means we're going against these vein structures roughly about 90 degrees. Where if we're drifting with the vein structures, we're either following a vein structure itself, which is drifting on the vein structure, or drifting with the vein structure, means we're just kind of heading in the general direction that they're heading. Where the 2 guys are standing in here, this is what we call the heading. What they're drilling into back there is called the face. We don't have walls or ceilings down here. What we're standing underneath is called the back. What supports the back is called the rib. Now, if we're not on the level, which is about 90% of our mining, it's going to be either stope mining or winds mining. What we call an underhand stope or winds is mining down on the ore body. So we try to stay away from that. That's extremely dangerous. It's extremely hard. And then the other one is mining up on an ore body or a stope. We try to use that more or less. Now you're going to see all 4 of those throughout the tour. Any questions?
For that, your phone needs a mobile or Wi-Fi connection first.
You have Wi-Fi?
Shut up!
Here you go. You can handle that problem.
This thing has learned to fly. I've left it on the back of my pickup and,
Perfect.
yeah.
No. I've had the same cell phone since they were the flip phones, when they were bulletproof. Exact
Yeah,
one.
bulletproof.
Bulletproof. And I've lost my temper with those things. And mine looks like it's been through World War VI. Let's head down this way here, folks. I'm gonna show you some mining machinery that we use.
It does. I didn't touch anything on it.
That thing right there is very dangerous. That dump bucket is a very dangerous dump bucket.
All kind of crazy stuff around. That shows you how technical savvy I am. You guys can gather up here against this chain, you guys can see a bunch better. We drill holes in the rock so we can blast. After we blast, we end up with a muck pile like you see up here. Now during the turn of the century, guys were hand muckers. So hand muckers lay down a steel sheet like you see down here, called a slick sheet. Lay that down before you blast onto it, gives you a nice smooth surface to muck off of. Reason being, guys, hand muckers were expected to keep 2 of these ore cars filled per hour. If you couldn't keep up with that pace back then, they would fire you. It's a 1-ton ore car, so 2 tons the hour. Sounds awfully easy, right? And if you look there in that picture, you're gonna know it's Jack Dempsey. And Jack Dempsey worked in 2 of the different gold mines in this camp underground as a hand mucker. He got fired from both of them because he couldn't keep up with that pace. I'm sure most of them with Jack Dempsey ended up being the boss of the camp. So the term "don't mess with the mucker" extremely true. Today it's a lot easier on us. We have air-operated machines to do most of our work for us that we have to run. It's a Limco 12B mucker that came out in the 30s. We're still using them today. Pretty fast machine, between 4 and 5 buckets. I can fill this 1-ton ore car now. Instead of describing to you how it works, I'm just going to show it to you, but it's air-operated, so it's going to get pretty loud, so I do suggest plugging your ears here, folks.
This thing swings back. Dangerous. Very good.
Okay. Exactly. Any questions, folks?
Pretty cool.
Good way to lose a hand. Very good way to lose a hand.
Looks like it would take a lot of air.
If you just run it like I just did, it only takes about 5 pounds off the entire system. That's still a lot of air, because they're at 1,000-foot, 8-inch main coming down here. Plus there's 7 receiver tanks down here.
Okay.
So 5 pounds off, that's a lot of air.
Yeah.
You run it all day long, plus a couple drills and stuff like that, that little air compressor we got on purpose. I say little, it's that tall. I have 4 cylinders, so it doesn't keep up, we have to run both air compressors. And both of them raise 100 CFM air compressors, so we burn through the air pretty quick. Yeah. So we're gonna head down this way here, show you guys some more equipment. In the dark? Well, heck, this is the perfect job for you today. Been in here more than 30 Yep. Why not?
You're here, Val. Cart full of ore. Air hammer. This thing's really loud. Yeah. You gotta be going down so everybody get in here.
This here is called a column drill. These came out during the turn of the century, and when they did come out, I mean, a guy didn't have to single jack or double jack anymore. So it's taking those guys a full 12-hour shift on advancing 4.5 foot in the rock by hand. With a machine like this, now you can go 6 foot in the rock on an 8-hour shift. You can only do this 2 foot at a time though. It's gonna take, you start out with a 2 foot starter steel, you change out with a 4 foot steel, and you end with a 6. Every time you gotta start a new hole with a machine like this, you gotta break the machine off the column, put the column where you need to, and then remount the machine so you can start drilling again. The machine itself weighs about 150 pounds, the column's another 100 pounds, so it's not super heavy. But after 12 hours of muscling it around, I'm sure it gets pretty stout. Now, on occasion, we still do use machines like this for one of 2 reasons. One reason, what we call long holing. So that's how we're kind of searching for gold sometimes down here. It's a cheaper way of doing it. It's not a guaranteed math. It's like core drilling. If you guys ever heard of core drilling, when you're sampling for rock, we're doing the same thing. We're not pulling a core out. Because we can only drill 2 foot at a time, we're setting up sample bags underneath this hole. This hole's getting flushed out with water, same as if we were drilling for anything else. We have to have water. When we gather that sample bag, we mark it and send it up to the surface, and the assayer is going to tell us if we've crossed the vein structure or not. A machine this size can go roughly about 150 foot into the rock. The big double column machines, the IR 300, can go about 400 feet into the rock. So pretty powerful machines, but still not an exact science because of how small that hole is. You can drill right next to a vein structure and never even know it was there, right above or right under it. Best way to do it is really just cross cut, not much different, so gold can be just behind that rib and we'd never know unless we just do a looking for it. Show you how this thing works here real quick. It gets pretty loud, so you don't want to plug your ears again here.
That probably made me double think.
Nice, you it takes 8 hours. We drill out a blasting pattern like you see behind me here. The old timers came up with it. We call it a 5-volt burn. Now the reason we call that a 5-volt burn, it has 5 different rounds in it. Each round has a 1 second delay between it. The old timers would have to cut those fuses to length to get that to go off correctly. And it sometimes can cause a little bit of a problem back then because the inside rounds would blow out the outside rounds. You'd have a misfire. That's another reason we would use a machine like this as a misfire, where you can come in and re-drill next to your explosives. That way you're not worried about the drill that we would use today. Also, if you have a misfire or a freeze shot, you're going to break the rock and not actually pull it out of the heading. So this machine's a lot better, less chance of it hanging up and getting yourself hurt with. It all starts in the center there, that empty hole, which is called a reliever hole. Now the reason we call that a reliever hole, so if the rock has something to break into, the floor around it's going to do just that, and that's called the burn. After that burn goes off, it creates a bigger hole, and our box goes off. The same thing happens, the rock will break into that opening that we just made. After the box goes off, both the rib shots go off, and breaks the rock in. After the ribs go off, and the back shot up there goes off, it'll break the rock down. The last shot to go off down there at the bottom called the lifters. Now I drill those lifters down roughly about a 30-degree angle. That way when they do go off, the lifters throw the knocked up, will roll across the back and lay that here on that steel sheet for you, that slick sheet. Where today we're mostly using rail equipment. We run our rail right up to the face and flip that rock onto the rail. If I can get you folks to plug your ears in here real quick, I'll go ahead and demonstrate this for you.
Oh my God.
Let me show you what we're using in here, folks. I did that in the group a couple years ago, and half of them tore off that way and the other half tore off
It's
around.
gonna stand there.
Nobody has a sense of humor anymore. This is what we're using today. This is a newer explosive. It's also dead cord and non-Ls. This is a lot safer way of doing this stuff. It's a lot more powerful also. The yellow cord you see, that runs all the way around that pattern there, we call it flash fuse. A lot of people call it dead cord, burns over 2,000 foot a second. So you don't have to worry about cutting things to length anymore, and you don't have to worry about your shot getting blown out because your fuse disappears as soon as it ignites. The yellow cord you see with the number tag on it is called a shock tube, and that runs a shock in that hollow tube all the way back to that blasting cap that's in the very back of the hole that's pre-timed for us. The number tag on the end of that cord tells us what cap's on the end of it, so we don't have to pre-time stuff. We just put it in there as appropriately to get our shot to go off correctly. At the end of all this, we still use old burn style fuse. You see there, we call it safety fuse now. Burns about roughly 1 foot per minute. So we cut off a 3-foot section, give us 3 minutes to get away from this shot. We do stand our ground with these rounds go off to make sure all 5 rounds did go off. If you only heard 4 rounds go off, it means you got a misfire. Everybody knows what to do with a misfire, right?
Walk up and grab it.
We don't do that. Nobody else? Any guesses?
Love it.
Send a new hire in to check it
Yeah.
out. The explosives we use is a lot more powerful. Anybody know what ammonium nitrates are? They're fertilizer and mixed with diesel fuel. So most people call that an ANFO mix, and we call it Pro. That comes in a BB form out of that bag. So we take it out of that bag, dump it into that bucket, use that powder gun that you see there, it's an air-operated gun, and that's how we jam the explosives back into the hole on top of that cap. The drill that we use is a lot more modern also that you see here, called a jack blade drill. You also don't have a column or anything to move around anymore. The machine weighs just as much as that column drill does over there, 150 pounds, just a lot easier to maneuver. The air leg on the bottom extends out the better part of 10 foot, so that allows me to start with a 6 foot drill still. I don't have to change out anymore. Also, that helps me keep that pressure on the bit so I can keep drilling instead of having to hand wrap it like I was in the other machine over there. I can drill a 6 foot hole with that machine, I can dead the leg, I can pull the machine out, put it anywhere on the face that I need to, I can recollar a hole and start drilling again. You can drill out a heading like this by yourself in roughly about an hour and a half to 2 hours, so it's a lot faster machine than that column drill. Any questions? No? Alright, let's go show you how we chase these ore bodies.
Where's Nathan Haley? Oh, look at the wall. I don't know, salt, maybe?
You guys can feel free to gather up there against the timber, look up and whatnot. I can back here, have your guys go away.
What's the white stuff on the wall?
Magnesium sulfate, so just Epsom salts. So it's actually from the rock itself, so that last drift that we
I
just
seen
walked
that,
down,
yeah.
it's real dry. And it just forces itself out of the rock. If you look real close, you can see where it curls, where it comes out of the rock.
Oh, really? That's
Whereas a little bit more moist like here, it just cakes up.
pretty neat.
It's to be flat honest with you, it's a pain in the rear.
I'll
Because
bet.
you can't see the rock and see what the rock's doing.
Right?
So you use a sounding bar or scaling bar, so you got an idea if it comes loose or not, you can hear it. If it sounds loose, it is loose, you just bring it down. Matter of fact, it was right there, that one right there come loose on us. That's just a little rock, it wasn't huge by any means, nothing fancy about it, but I came through here with a scaling bar and I was able to hear it sound hollow, so I just got behind it and pried it down. You see some of the little pieces that
What
came
do you just go
through
by
it.
a javelin?
Do what?
How do you figure that out?
Just by the sound. So the scaling bar is an aluminum bar with a steel piece to the end of it.
Right.
You just tap on the rock.
Huh,
And that's part of my inspection, that's part of my job that I normally do.
really?
So, I'm the maintenance guy, to be flat honest with you guys, I'm not a tour guide.
You're doing a wonderful job.
So, do what?
You're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, I'm not like the other guys, they know the history inside and out and back and forth. I know how to break the rock, the other guys know how to break the rock too, don't get me wrong, but they just do more of the tours than I do. So you get all the roughneck and smart aleck that comes with this, so. I was told multiple times, because we got busy today, the boss came up to me, knowing that I had to help guide tours today, he's like, you have to keep it PG.
Come on.
Why? No fun in that.
Right.
So you can see how we get to these ore bodies, and then you can see how we find them and chase them in the whole 9 yards right here. So, well, we had walked down from the drill to that corner of the drift, so we're drifting with the vein structures. You're opening another section of Mollie, like that. Turn the corner here, and this is another cross cut. Cross cut till you find the vein structures. Once you hit the vein structure, now you're gonna drift on the vein structure itself. When you're doing that, you're creating this pocket to drop the rock into. Now normally this would be no bigger than what we're standing in when you're first opening it up. You're going underneath that vein structure so you can raise on it. When you raise on a vein structure, it's called a stope. There's two types of stope mining. What you see here is a shrink stope. I'm gonna show you the other version here in a little bit later. What I mean by shrink stope mining is we're chasing this vein structure basically straight up. What determines how we're gonna have to do that is the vein structure itself. If it goes straight up to the rock, obviously we gotta stay on the vein structure. If it goes at an angle, we have to stay on the vein structure. We just use two different methods to make it easier for us. With this method here, after you've drilled underneath it, then you drill the entire back out, 6 foot round.